Well, I'm a single mom of 2 kids, and I was kind of like from place to place, renting here, renting there. There's a ton of reasons why I couldn't stay in certain places, and I just wanted to find a home and a forever place to give my kids the consistency that they needed. And so finally we found our forever home. Like just the price and trying to find like a good school district for my kids to be in. That was like the big thing. It's like my price point. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna find like a reasonable school district for my kids where I feel comfortable that they're gonna learn and they're gonna flourish. And so that was I think my biggest fear. We definitely had to have, like I said, first and foremost was the school district. Second would be just, enough bedrooms for me and the kids to each have their own, because I do have a boy and a girl, and I wanted them to be able to have their own space. And then more or less, like I have 8 animals. So I have 4 cats and 4 dogs. So we needed a big old yard, lots of room for them to run, and that was a big thing for me. I mean, they're all mostly adopted animals, and I have had them since they were babies, and I'm so in love with them. And the last thing I was going to do was, give them any less than they deserve. I think more or less what was difficult was, like I said, definitely finding something in my price point that, I knew was going to fit well for our family. And I think we got quite a few houses that we put in offers for, and then somebody outbid me, and a lot of it was I'm going towards the top of my price point because I'm like, I need to go to the top because that's where I'm going to find the best school districts. And so a lot of it that was difficult. Also, it was difficult because I've been in the construction trade my entire life. So I'm walking in houses and I'm looking at Amy and I'm going, ooh. And she's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, you see that? And so I really felt for her because I was so particular because of those things. Like, I'm like, oh, the floor creaks over here, which means something in the basement isn't off. And she's like, oh God, I'm like an investigator walking around there. So she handled that well. She was like, you know what? If you don't feel it, you don't feel it, and we'll move on. And so she was like, however many houses it takes. So that was good. So I actually deployed with her boyfriend, and after deployment, I had actually had a home in Townsend, and I had a realtor, and it was kind of a nightmare. It was like absolutely horrific. It was like, I'm like, this is what I'm looking for, and like these are my must-haves, and nothing I'm gonna budge on. And it seemed like every house we looked at had a plethora of no-nos. And I'm like, I said I didn't want to be near the road. I said I didn't want, to have a small backyard, and I didn't want this. And it felt like a lot of it, he never even listened to me, and I felt like I had to do every little bit of work because I ended up finding the house, and I never even saw that one, and it was perfect. But then we got into the house, and then there was a lot of issues with it. There was a lot of structural stuff that, like, had I looked a little harder and maybe not had such a bad experience, I wouldn't have been ready to just settle with it. Like, yeah, this is the one. So it was nice being able to know Amy beforehand, and I was like, she gets me, and I feel like she would take my best interest and my family's best interest into account when it came to finding a home, and she for sure did. She listened to everything that I said that I wanted and I had to have, and anything that I was like, that's a make or break for me. So don't settle. There's so many houses that I've seen, big, small, like fixer-uppers or move-in readies, and I feel like even though I bought mine and it was move-in ready, I still had a lot of things I wanted to make it my own. So I would recommend not settling, but I would also recommend being open to the creativity and the space itself, and being able to adjust it for your family and your needs. And that's it.
Awesome.
She's great. She definitely is in her niche. Like, she has found her place in life being a realtor. Like, I feel like she knows very well what she's doing. She, like I said before, she definitely listens. If there's something that you decide, like, this is what I want, she's no holds bar. That's what we're gonna get you. And she's persistent. Like, I was calling her like 3 p.m. on a Tuesday, and I'm like, I want to go look at a house. She's like, let's go. And I mean, she lives down here in Dover, and I live up in Wilmington, and she was just ready to drop everything at a moment's notice and show me any house. And there was even some times where we walked up to a house, and I was like, yeah, I don't even want to go in. And she's like, no problem. And I would feel bad, because I'm like, you drove all the way up from Dover just for me to go, no, and not even walk in the house. So she was very understanding, very great, and you know, she was like, okay, she knew that I knew what I wanted, and she was refusing to let me go for anything else. And I would recommend her in a heartbeat. If you need to buy yourself a house, I suggest you call Amy Hurley.